Hello, everyone. Welcome to Y Media. I am your host, Shelly Seni. Joining me today is Ontario's Associate Minister of Housing, Nina Tangri. Welcome, Minister. How are you?
Well, thank you so much, Shelley, and to all the viewers of Y Media, Sastikar, Namaskar, Oradab.
Minister, recently the province made announcements that they are taking steps to support renters and the rental housing. Give us more details on that.
So what our new bill is promoting and suggesting, we're definitely adding more than doubling the adjudicators on the landlord tenant board because there's been such a backlog, especially since COVID. And because of that backlog, sometimes there are tenants that have not been paying rent for a very long time. So landlords are very upset. And by the time the hearing comes around, it can be 8-9 months. So we want to get that backlog done as well. But sometimes there are renters, tenants that have had a hard time with their landlords. So this will also help them as well to be able to get their hearings heard much faster and get a solution faster too.
Right. So when we talk about renting specifically, the housing market as such is going through a difficult phase right now, not just in Ontario, across Canada, but specifically talking of rental housing. A lot of people believe and they feel that the rental market has been ignored for a very long time. Why has that happened?
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, previous governments have not paid any attention to rental housing. Since coming to government, we've had 4 housing supply action plans. This is the 4th one. And with each one, we're trying to make it easier to build housing. So whether it's purpose-built rental, whether it's affordable homes, supportive home, attainable homes, and just homes for everybody. So we have a massive housing supply crisis for everyone in all fields. So, well, we take of all the immigrants that come to Canada, we take approximately 60% of them here in Ontario. So over the next few years, we'll take probably 2 years, 3 years, we're going to take close to 1 million people. We need to house them. We need somewhere for them to go. We have so many international students coming here, and they desperately need good rental and safe rental housing. So, everybody across the board, we have a massive housing supply crisis, which is why in our last bill, build more homes faster, we wanted to make sure that we made it easier for developers and municipalities to work together with us to get the shovels in the ground faster. And last year and the year before were the 2 highest years ever for housing starts, so getting shovels in the ground.
So the bill and the proposed plans, they are solid on paper, but when it comes to reality, especially with the major influx, I would say massive influx of immigrants as well as international students coming specifically to Ontario, for example, if they're coming next year, do we have enough houses by next year?
Absolutely not, which is why we're encouraging developers and municipalities to work with us to try and, encourage them to get the shovels in the ground faster. Like I said, last year, for the first time, and I can give you these statistics, we had from 2003 to 2000, and I think it's 15, only about 14,000 rental homes were built. And last year alone in our province, we actually had almost 15,000 rental homes built. So this is just the new builds. And we have many people out there, great landlords who purchase homes so they can rent them out to people. So, we want to make it fair for them. We want to encourage them to also continue to buy and rent homes out so that we have more supply. We have a massive supply issue right now. And these are some of the remedies. It's not all the answers, but some of the answers to try and get more supply for everybody.
Right. And when we talk about the rental housing, the people hanging on the loose end are usually the immigrants, people living on support income, and international students. And sometimes they are forced because there is no one to listen to. Even the building management, there have been some recent incidents when the renters have been living in some precarious situations. The building is damaged, there is leak, there is infestation. They have been trying to get in touch with the building management, but no answers. So in these situations, how do we hold people accountable?
So we do have the process. There's a number of ways. We do have a rental housing enforcement unit. within the ministry that works on some issues like that. But the landlord tenant board is there to support both of them. So if there are issues of infestation, for example, and it does exist, we've seen it, they have an opportunity to, apply to the rent. If they find all of the other avenues, talking to management, having pest control come in, if there's still no solution, then they can go to the landlord tenant board and help us find a resolution. But we do have an enforcement unit as well within our ministry that will really come out and try and make things better, because it really some buildings are in very bad shape, but there's the other side of that coin, where there's some great buildings, some great landlords, and the tenants are just not paying rent as well. So we want to make it fair for both sides.
Absolutely. And quickly, just before I'll let you go, because we're talking about the international students also, and specifically if we look in the GTA region, Brampton and Mississauga house a lot of international students, and there have been reports that sometimes in the basement units, which are not being authorized by the municipality, by the city, these units house as much as 10 to 12 kids in the basement areas. How do we tap into that?
So unless the authorities know about it, nothing can be done. So somebody needs to speak up and say, and we've seen where there's situations where there may be 5 students in a very small room sleeping in that same space in the day, and a different 5 students sleeping in the same space at night. So it's horrific. It's not hygienic. It's not safe. Some of these basement units don't have a separate entrance. The windows are not big enough. If there was a fire, they could not get out. So we have to, there are reasons why we put these regulations in place, and it is mostly for the safety. So, if you are in a situation, and I know it's very difficult and it's expensive to rent. So, we're looking, if we have more supply, there's a lot more supply. If we can get those shovels in the ground, get more housing built, and also working with the affordable housing sector, social housing sector. There are people that have been in housing that where they're getting social benefits for maybe when they have 3 children, and those children have now grown up, they've moved out, and you still have now maybe just 1 or 2 people, husband and wife, living in that 3-bedroom unit. We need to free up that space for the families who really need it, and maybe work with them to put them into a 1-bedroom. So there's a lot of things taking place. We have the Social Services Relief Fund. One of the big things we did that was in the budget, which we're very excited about, is $202 million we added into what we call the homelessness prevention program. And that works with a lot of service managers. So for example, in Brampton, Mississauga, it would be the region appeal, and it allows providers, because we do have an issue with mental health and addictions and some other areas where people really do need support, people with disability, and this fund will help them and help them with their housing. So there's a lot of programs that we're putting into place, and they're record investments. It's never been done by any previous governments before. So it's something we're very proud of, but we want to see the results. We want to really see people utilizing this and having safe and affordable homes.
Right, absolutely. There is a lot that is happening. And because I myself am an immigrant, so I can bring a different perspective also. And this is just a question that I have been asking myself. And, a lot of people around me, I was like, so I come from India, and back home, the universities and colleges, they have their own hostels, and the fees to stay in those hostels is bare minimum. It's not very heavy on the families to bear that cost. And those are safe places where you have the mess that provides you with fresh meals. Can we not have such a system here?
So for the local students and some of the universities here, the first year of your housing is almost guaranteed. So they do offer them that housing for the first year on campus, but it's not enough. There's a lot of private career colleges that don't provide housing, and this is something I have been in talks with a lot of our colleges and universities. Our Minister of Colleges and Universities has been talking to many of them. I'm actually meeting with one of my private career colleges in the next couple of weeks, and they've been around a long time, so they are actually going to build on campus some housing for their students, for the international students. So, I mean, we need to put the onus on them. They must find ways to provide housing for all of the people that they're bringing here, especially somebody who's new to this province and the city. They don't know anybody, and they need to be in a safe place where they can continue to work on their studies and not worry about, putting food on the table or a place to live. So we are working with many of them right now. They are stepping up. But we're not there yet. There's a long way to go, and we need them to help build that housing, just small studio suites, where people have a safe place to sleep and a safe place to study.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all these details and even the vision for future. Thank you for talking to us. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Shelley.
IPTV.